Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope that you guys are having a super great day. I'm going to try to get through this without tripping over my words, but words have been really hard for me today. So just bear with me. I want to talk. I'm just going to get right in. I'm not even going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to talk about it. And I did take a chill because I needed it. Okay. So happiness is not something that you reach when you get to your goal or when you get to mark something off of your vision board, because our brains are just wired to think to ourselves, okay, I hit that goal. What's next for me? What do I do now? Right? We don't just take a moment to soak in that we've just reached the goal. So I feel like I need to talk about like where this came from in my life personally. I like to tie things to like things that I have dealt with recently. So my husband actually came home from Comcast. He quit his full-time job and now he stays home. Right around that time was when my team pulled together the 4K rank advancement bonus. And, the next month you're like, okay, time to hit 12K, time to go to 12K, time to hit that auto bonus, right? And it's like, we're so focused on making that happen. At least I was, that I didn't take a second to appreciate the rank advancement bonus that we earned and my husband coming home. I was just so focused on having that next thing happen, on reaching that next goal. I never stopped to smell the flowers. Like I never took a second to be grateful for my husband coming home. Like that is a huge thing. And I took that for granted for probably a month, just to be honest, because I just was so focused on making the next thing happen in our family. Like obviously we wanted him to come home, but we still had other goals we wanted to work towards. And I was being selfish. I wasn't being grateful. I wasn't stewarding that season that we were in. And what happened was I got in my head because I didn't earn that auto bonus. I thought that something was wrong with me. Something was wrong with what I was doing. And you know what happened when I got in my head? I let my foot off the gas. So listen, raise your hand or drop an emoji if you have ever let your foot off the gas when you have not hit the rank that you wanted to, or not hit that goal that you want to, or it took you a lot longer than you thought it would, or because you weren't going fast enough. Like, listen, I need you to understand that you're not alone. I feel like we all feel that way and nobody really talks about that. A lot of the leaders do, I would say, but maybe it isn't spoke about enough. So because I thought it wasn't happening fast enough, I thought something was wrong with me. So basically I got sick of my attitude and I had to call myself out, because that's what we do when things get hard and when we get nasty to ourselves, we have to call ourselves out. So I sat in my front yard and it was crazy. I bet people driving by thought I was nuts because it was raining, but I connect better with source when I am in the ground, when I'm grounded, like when my feet are touching the ground. So I was actually sitting in the yard praying for an answer, trying to figure out, what I was doing wrong or what I needed to focus on or where do I go from here. And I remember hearing I needed to slow down. Like I needed to steward the season and find the joy in the season that I was in, instead of focusing on getting to that next level, getting to that next season I wanted to be in right now. I was so focused on like the goals. And what happens is we get so focused on our goals because everybody else is hitting a goal, right? So when somebody comes into the business, if they quickly go to 12K or they quickly go to 40K, like we're focusing on the goals that they had, what they went through, right? Focusing on what they were crossing off. And that's what was happening to me. I was focused so hard on someone's chapter 20 that I forgot to focus on my chapter 5. And my chapter 5 is beautiful. Your chapter 2, your chapter 3, your chapter 4, it's all beautiful. And we have to learn to focus on those things. And I eventually stopped showing up as who I am. I stopped being authentic. I was watering myself down. I was trying to show up the way others did. That way I could hit that goal, right? That way I could get to that next level I was trying to get to. And in turn, that bled into my life. I wasn't being me in my life. So I thought I had to post like others. I thought I had to talk like others. I thought I had to, I mean, it was crazy for a month. Like I didn't even know who I was. And listen, first I need you to understand that like, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your situation looks like, you're right there because you need to be. you're right there because there's something that you need to learn in that situation, in that circumstance. Like we need to understand that when we're not hitting a goal, it's because we're not meant to. We're not ready for that. We're not supposed to be 12K yet. We're not supposed to be 40K yet. Like you still have some learning, you still have some growing to do. So no matter how hard your life is, or no matter how many goals you don't hit, or no matter what is happening, at the end of the day, you have to understand that joy is what you have to focus on. If you're not focused solely on the joy that you're creating in this business, the joy that you're creating in your life, like we can't just show up on social media and act like we're happy and then put our phones down and we're miserable and depressed and like talking bad to ourselves. Yes, my light flickers. Sorry. I don't know why it does that. And it's probably very hazardous, but it does. Okay. So we have to learn to choose that joy in every single season that we're in. Like, how do we expect to be given more if we're not already stewarding what we have? So that negative voice that came to my head, like, listen, that negative voice will self-sabotage you every single chance that it gets, every single chance. And it's so hard to notice, like, is it really me? Is it like what's happening in my head right now? Is this the enemy? Is it like spiritual warfare? Is it just me? Am I crazy? Like, it's hard to notice what it is, right? But it's going to self-sabotage you every chance that it can. And it can start with you not hitting a goal, or it can start with you, no matter what it starts with, it can toxically spiral into finally not being authentic to who you are. It can spiral so hard that you end up showing up in all areas of your life as somebody you don't even notice. You don't even recognize her. And I know for me, it started to affect my marriage. I mean, that's why I got so sick of myself, because I was like, what is happening? My marriage is strong and this is not normal. And like I said, it's hard to tell the difference between the two, but I promise you, if there's a negative voice in your head, that's not you. That's not the truth. It is not who you are. Because listen, you're not going to intentionally be mean to yourself. Like, you wouldn't allow yourself to say those things out loud to yourself, would you? Like, could you imagine saying those things? Like, I don't know. I would never say those things out loud to myself. So when you hear that voice in your head, that's just your negative self. That's the spiritual warfare. If you want to call it the enemy, whatever it is that you believe it is, but there's a tangible tool that I have been using, and I call this my mental tool belt. Okay. It's so crazy because the whole family in the house knows if mommy's silent and it seems like mommy may have been a little upset, mommy's in her mental tool belt right now. Like, I'm using tools to pull myself out of it. So I tell them to do the same thing. Like, when they start to get in their head, I'm like, okay, what mental tool can we use from our tool belt? I feel like Bob the Builder or something, but like, it works. Okay. So what I did, I talked to Em about this, and I named that voice in my head. So for me, my name is Chandra, because when I was growing up, people called me that and I didn't like it. So I named her Chandra. And every time I start to hear a negative thought, I tell her to sit down and listen. Sometimes, because obviously I'm just freshly starting this, you're going to start this and it's going to be hard to keep doing it. It has to be something that you have to learn, and you have to continuously, it's like it's a muscle. You have to work that muscle in order to do it consistently without even thinking about it. So sometimes I still struggle, and my husband will be like, Chandra, why is she here? Chandra needs to go. So I even use this with my kids too. Kason, when he gets in his head, I will yell at him on the ball field. I can't remember the name right now because I'm really nervous, but like, I will yell at him on the ball field and tell him that person has to go because it's in his head. So it's even like today, that negative voice told me not to do this Zoom, that I wasn't qualified. I didn't feel qualified. And Amber had to remind me that whether or not we feel qualified, we are called to be here. We are called and we are chosen for what we are doing right here in this business. And I come back to Katie, and she just got the tattoo. Like, we're here for such a time as this. And it's the truth. Like, somebody needs to hear what you have to say. So yes, such a time as this. So like, how long are we going to allow ourselves to be watered down? Like, I don't want to be a watered down version of anyone else. I want to show up authentically as myself. And I want people to love me for who I am, for sharing the ugly truth, the what I believe in, or of what works for me. It's time for you to show up as you. It's time for you to be different. Being different truly is your superpower. You can show up in this business and you can do all the days all day long, but at the end of the day, if you're not being true to who you are and you're just being a watered down version of another leader in this team, then you're not going to get where you want to be, because your blessing cannot be delivered to somebody else's mailbox. Like, you're not going to get somebody else's mail. So you need to show up exactly how you are. Be set apart in your way. Be different in your way. Even if no one understands, even if you have to be the black sheep of the family, because hello, I am the black sheep of the family. They were just making fun of me at a birthday party because I'm a crunchy mom and I don't allow certain snacks. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not sorry, but like, I don't. So even if no one understands, and even if you feel strange sharing your truth with people, it feels weird telling my family you can't give my kids that snack, but I do it anyway, because I know in my heart what's right for my family, what's right for me. So your people, they're going to love you for who you are. They're going to find you and they're going to love you and listen to your heart. You have to believe in who you are. You have to believe in what you have to bring to the table. You have to just believe in yourself and be different, because nobody, like I said, nobody wants a copy. You're better off being an original. And I'm pretty sure that's all I have. Amber, if you want to relieve me of my sweating.
Oh my God, I love that. So we're getting flickering lights from you. You guys are going to get my bug zapper because my husband swore that we absolutely needed it on Amazon and it drives me crazy. But I'm going to try to keep my notes. I've got 2 pages of notes. I'm going to try to keep them as simple and as concise as I can. But the hardest part of your business is going to be controlling that negative voice inside your mind. And it doesn't matter what rank you are. It doesn't matter how many years you've been here, how good you think you're getting at what you're doing. You're always going to have moments where you got to check yourself. And that's your biggest tool that you can have, is defeating that negative voice inside your mind and saying, you know what, no, sit down. I'm going to take over here because I'm driving. Right. And so the first thing that you need to understand, I'm going to go over some notes that I kind of went over with my team. So if you're on my team, buckle up. We're going over it again, baby girl. Okay. But the first thing that you have to understand that you bring to the table, we labeled this bring to the table. What do you bring to the table? Right. Because so many people are I don't know. I don't have value. I don't know what to say. How do I craft this post? Nobody's going to want to listen to me. How can I sign up somebody, teach them how to be successful if I never hit my VIPs? Okay. Hello. Hi, been there. But the first thing you need to understand that you bring to the table is your emotions in your business. And that is something, we lost light here, but that is something that we are in control of every single day. Okay. One of the things that Tony Robbins says all the time, he's that is your responsibility, the energy and the mental state that you bring into every day, you bring into every relationship. And so I want to talk about this one aspect that we talked about on Monday with my team, but we talked about this theory of the gap and the gain. Because so many of us, I'm going to do it just like I did for you guys. Okay. So many of us are over here and we're constantly looking at how far we have to go, right? That rank seems so far away. That QV seems so far away. That building that team feels so far away. And you're my God, I'm never going to get there. It's going to take, I'm moving mountains and 5 other people to move mountains with me in order to get to my goal, paying off that debt, building that dream home, whatever it is that's on your vision board. You're staring at it. You're looking at it every single day. And you play that negative voice inside your head and you're my God, it's going to take forever. I should have hit that by now. I don't understand. I've been here 4 years. How come I haven't gotten there by now? How come she's further than me? And you're going to start playing this negative, vicious cycle of, why am I not there yet? It's going to take so much hard work for me to get there. And when you bring those negative emotions into your business, it portrays in the content that you put out, in your lives, in your posts, in your maybe not showing up face to face on your stories because you've just felt defeated from yourself. Versus if you take a step back and you're you know what, no, I'm here, I've been here X amount of time, I have come far, I have grown in confidence, I have walked a little closer to God, and I actually pray now, right? I have gained a lot of things personally. It might not be a financial gain that you have earned yet in this business, but you you've gained something. Okay. You need to write that down so you can always remember that. And you need to understand that we're not living in the gap of how far we've got to go. We're living in the gain. Where have I come from? And can I be proud and celebrate those small wins? That has such a more positive emotion to it. Am I right? It's a more positive spin. You bring those positive emotions into your business when you're showing up every single day, operating from the gain versus operating from the gap. Okay. I hope that if there's anything that you take away tonight, you take away how am I showing up and operating for my business every single day? Because where you are operating from matters. I wrote this down because you guys, I'm not like trying to sell you on a book, but like this is the best book I've ever read. Pivot to Purpose, okay, by Kristen Boss. And she's talking about like ditching the hustle, ditching the mentality of like, I'm gonna like work there super, super hard, super, super fast, try to hustle my way to the finish line. And in the meantime, you kind of lose yourself. And in the meantime, you kind of lose those relationships, maybe with your spouse or your kids, and your family starts telling you, you know, how come you're on your phone all the time? Like, I don't understand. You become like this person that you said you would never be. Okay. You need to check yourself if you find yourself in moments like that in your business. But what I wrote down here is if you're operating from the gap, how far you got to go, those negative emotions, that's when you're inviting hustle into your business. Okay. And when you start inviting hustle into your business, people feel it because they feel like a number. They feel like you're only hopping onto your stories to make a sale. They feel like you're only hopping on your social media platform to get something out of them versus providing value. Okay. And I'm going to break down value a little bit and where we kind of get into our head a little bit, because I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm boring. Like, I don't leave the house. I don't have anything to say. My story is not like rags to riches. Like, I'm just like vanilla. Right. And so a lot of the times, and Candra and I were talking about this, but a lot of times we get stuck in this like vanilla value where we're bringing vanilla value to our audience. Okay. I'm going to try to hurry up because it's getting dark here, but, when you start turning, like you start to try to figure out, how do I turn this post into a sale? We get very transactional, right? We get very transactional and we feel like we have to present ourselves. Like we have to like show off a little bit, or, you know, that's when you get into that negative mindset of, oh, I haven't earned the car bonus yet, but I have done this or I have done that. And you feel like you have to like have something to show for before somebody's going to show up and want to join your business. That cannot be further from the truth. Okay. But when you start being more transformational versus transactional in your content, when you're showing up and you're just kind of like heart to heart on your stories and you're like, I believe in you. Like, I know you don't believe in you yet. I believe in you. I'm holding space for you. I've been doing this for X amount of time. I've grown along the way. I can't wait to see where you go with this, right? Like, I can't wait to see you pay off debt. I can't wait to see the confidence that I can help instill in you. And you tell them like the mindset and the skill set is something that's taught along the way. Like, you just need to know what you want in your life and where you're not staying. That's all you need to know. Like, do you see how that like comes across a little bit different on my stories versus if I show up on my stories and I'm like, you can get $800 in your first 2 weeks and like all these, like you're selling the comp plan, right? That is operating out of the gap. That's operating out of hustle mode. That's operating of how can I turn this into a sale? Okay. And sharing vanilla value. So what happens is when we start sharing vanilla value, because I've been there, I feel like we've probably all been there. We start sharing more like Pinterest quotes. We start sharing like inspirational stuff. And we think that like everybody's going to like us and everybody's just going to comment and we're going to grow our business and everybody's going to come flocking to us because we're being this very inspirational leader, right? No, you're hiding behind the screen. You're not sharing your story. You're not sharing your heart. You're not sharing that, hey, maybe times are hard for you right now. And maybe you've got 2 babies in daycare, right? Or maybe you don't like your job and you cannot wait to see what this business brings you because you want to step away from the time clock or whatever it is that's your hard chapter right now. You can't be afraid to share it. And I feel like that's something that I always end up speaking about on Zooms with you guys, is not being afraid of your story. Like, stop hiding behind the camera and know that you're so relatable right now. And so what happens is I wrote down here, you cannot afford to bring your people pleasing tendencies into your business. Okay. I grew up a people pleaser. Okay. I grew up in the South. I grew up where everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew your daddy. Everybody knew what church you went to, why you weren't there on Wednesday and Sunday, like all these things. Right. And so it was very ingrained in my brain from a small age that like we sit still, we look pretty and we're going to act the part. Right. Because everybody's watching. Okay. And not all small towns are like that. I'm not trying to say that, but that's where I came from. Okay. And that's how I grew up. And that was what was instilled in my brain for a very, very long time. So of course, like my early adulthood, I really cared what people thought about me, and I really cared. And that's what kept me back from this business for a very long time. Cause I was like, what are my employees? What are my coworkers going to think? My coworkers going to think I'm crazy, right? It was the idea of what my coworkers were going to think, not my family, not my friends from high school. It was my coworkers. And I would let that hold me back for the longest time. And I stopped, like I provided vanilla value for probably 2 years in this business. Okay. Because I was scared, because I lived in fear. I lived in the worry of what other people were going to think about me, especially being a career burnout. That is something that I talk about freely now. Okay. I'm not afraid to step on anybody's toes, but when we start providing vanilla value, like you were saying, is you don't, like, you're just watering yourself down, right? And you don't feel like you're the best version of yourself because you're still hiding something. You're hiding something from your audience because you're scared to talk about it. And so when you get to a place where you're like terrified to like niche down, whatever you want to call it, like you're scared to niche, or because you don't want to leave people out, or you don't want to offend people, or, you know, you're putting up posts and you're speaking to everybody. You know how we say, like, whenever you're speaking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. That is actually your people pleasing tendencies a little bit. Okay. That's you not wanting to offend people. That's you not wanting to turn people away. And that's you being afraid of your follower count going down. Okay. You're also, whenever you start, bringing those people pleasing tendencies into your business, I'll tell you what else it looks like. Okay. It looks like not having hard conversations with your leaders. Okay. It looks like not calling them out whenever they're in an unhealthy mindset, when they're bringing negativity to the chat or whatever. If you find a moment where you're like, hey, maybe they need to grow a little bit, you cannot let your people pleasing tendencies let you push that under the rug, because they joined you for a reason and they need you to sometimes, very humbly, with a yellow heart, call them out a little bit and call them up. Okay. I know I've been saying that a lot lately, but call them up. Okay. You are not here to be their best friend. You're here to be their best mentor. Okay. I feel like I'm a broken record tonight, but you have to call people up. You have to say, you know what, like, let's check your mindset of where you're at right now. Don't be afraid to have hard conversations, especially if it's like in the follow-up. If you find yourself constantly in fear of the follow-up, it's because you're in fear of the emotion attached to it. And so you have to break away from that emotion and say, you know what, whether they say yes or they say no, I'm okay. I'm okay, because I got me. I got my back. I'm unwavering in this business. I'm not going anywhere. Even if my whole team left, I would still be here building. It doesn't matter what somebody's answer is to me, right? Because if it's not for them, it's not for them. And I don't want them on my journey, because they're going to be an extra rock in my backpack if they don't really want to be here, right? Okay. Also procrastinating. Procrastinating is huge, because when you are when you're avoiding things in your business, is because of that emotion. It's because that negative mindset that you have that's constantly telling you something like, oh, I'm scared to do this, or what are people going to say if I post this? How is it going to come across? How can I word it right so that it doesn't offend anybody? Okay. You start procrastinating, you start doing the dishes, your brain finds the path of least resistance, and you start telling yourself that other things are more important, and you get lost in the scroll, you get lost in presets, you get lost in things that don't actually build your business, and you avoid the things that do build your business, like adding to your network and engaging with your audience and putting out valuable content. You avoid it because you're procrastinating because of the emotion attached to the hard task that you know you actually need to do. Is that making sense? I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. So for example, I'll give you an example, maybe that you can tie this to your business a little bit. I'm getting caught in mouth, y'all. I'm going to give you an example of the mortgage. Okay. Everybody has like a mortgage or a rent that is due typically around the first of the month. Am I right? And usually you don't get like a late penalty until the 15th of the month. Am I right? But if you're constantly living in this, like, money is scarce, and you have this very negative mindset around money and your bank account, maybe you're scared to walk to the mailbox because you know there's bills in there that you can't pay. You end up paying your mortgage on the 12th. Am I right? Because you're too scared to pay it on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, even though you know you got about your money in your bank account. You're scared because you know it's going to bring you down to that 300 and you've got that lack mindset around your bank account. And so you feel like if you hang on to that money longer until the 12th, it's going to make a difference. It makes no difference. You're just chasing the emotion. Does that make sense to you guys? You've chased the emotion. You've held on to that comfortable feeling so that you didn't have to be uncomfortable for maybe like 3 days. Right? And you have to be very careful that you're not doing that in your business. Okay. The next thing I want to read you, I'm literally going to read it to you. And it's from this book. The book is called Pivot to Purpose, and it's about breaking the toxic hustle cycle and trading scarcity mindset for sustainable success. Okay. All about network marketing. I cannot recommend it enough, but she says, hustle preys on the desperate. Let that sink in. Hustle preys on the desperate. If you feel like you don't have enough or that you inherently aren't enough, you invite hustle into your life and you start searching for your worth in your work. This is where you get watered down. This is where you're just vanilla. This is where you're just simply sharing products and business, and then products and then business, and then products and then business. And you're a robot on social media. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I've never been there. I've been there where, you know, even higher leaders than me, they say, you know, you're sharing a lot of product and business. Like, I don't see much of you. Right. And there's times where we have to check ourselves. There's times where we get into that lack mindset and we're not sharing our true self. We're not sharing the things that are actually sitting on our heart. Right. And so we get into this like vicious cycle of feeling like we're doing all the things. Like, if you've ever, can you just drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever said, I'm doing all the things? Okay, I'm doing all the things. No one's in my inbox. How come she got there first? How come she hit this rank and I've been here for 3 years or 2 years or 1 year. This chick just came in. I don't know how she did it. She must be getting placement. There's something that she's got that I don't have. It must be nice to be her. I'm not going to clap for her because I'm sitting over here in defeat. It's like this constant vicious cycle inside your mind. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that I've never been the girl that didn't clap for somebody else. I went through that for a good hard season, and I had to check myself and say, Amber, how come you're not clapping for these leaders that are earning these trips, that are earning these bonuses? Is it because you didn't? Is it because you didn't hit your VIPs? Is it because you haven't earned a trip yet and you're like in your head of what do they have that you don't have? There's nothing that they have that you don't have, except for they've got over themselves a little bit more than you have. And that's a hard pill to swallow, right? You can't clap for somebody else if you aren't ready. Absolutely. Let's see. What else was I going to put here? I put you can be doing all the things, but if your energy sucks, it doesn't matter. Sorry, that's a little blunt. Let's see. If you're constantly chasing the feeling of enoughness, how are you going to know if you're enough? Right? This is what she was talking about in the beginning of this. Like, you feel like that rank badge sticker is going to make you feel enough, is for going 4K, 12K, getting that auto bonus, earning that trip, earning your VIPs. Like, are you going to feel enough then? Are you going to feel enough? Like, what's going to make you feel enough? Enough for who? First of all, that's your first question. Who do you need to be enough for? You need to be enough for yourself. I put on here, if you are waiting for moments like the rank badge sticker or the rank up or the rank bonus when those come around, or you're waiting for like these moments, you're chasing your enoughness in these moments, then you're really going to be in trouble when the storm hits, because you're going to attach your worth to those things that you accomplished in your business, and you're not going to have anything left over when the storm comes. And you're going to be in a really, really negative mindset then. And it's going to be very hard to dig yourself out. 4 last things, and then we'll hop off here. I put, you have to have an unshakable commitment to the long-term vision. I know that we say that all the time, but what keeps people from achieving their goals is they give up what they want in the future for what they want right now. It's the same thing as a diet. It's the same thing as somebody who wants to lose weight. That cheesecake looks so much better right now than the 10 pounds that person wants to actually lose, right? They completely give up that long-term vision for what they want right now. And there's nothing wrong with having moments of weakness. There's nothing wrong with like rest days. There's nothing wrong with anything like that. It's just, what are you compounding? What kind of compound interest are you building in your business? Is it negative compound interest or is it positive compound interest? Okay. The Slight Edge, if you've never read that, that's where I got this from. And it talks about how, you know, each day, 1%, 1%, 1% better, or you can continue to make those negative choices. Let's say I decided I was going to eat a piece of cheesecake for the next 10 days. Like, no wonder I'm going to be heavier at the end of the week, right? No wonder if I decided that I'm not going to move my body, or I decided I'm just not going to show up for my business. Of course, I'm not going to hit my goal. Of course, nobody's going to be in my inbox because I took my foot off the gas. And that's in any goal that you're trying to achieve. If you're taking your foot off the gas, you're losing trust in two areas. You're losing trust in your audience, for one, especially as a social media business owner, and you're losing trust in yourself. And that's the hardest part. When you lose trust in yourself, these little daily commitments to your business, to your income producing activities, to adding to your network, to all the things that you do in your business every single day, right? When you stop, you are losing trust with yourself. And then the next day, you don't feel so confident. You don't feel so hot. You don't feel like getting up and showing up. You don't feel like talking about your products. You don't feel like talking about your business because you took your foot off the gas and you lost trust with you. So you got to start to learn how to build that trust back with yourself. And the best way to do that is to not come off the gas. And I'm not talking about hustle your way to the rank. I'm not talking about hustle your way to the end of the month, because the last thing you want is to hit your rank at the very, very last end of the month and you've like fought to get there. And then the next, like as soon as the clock strikes midnight, you're like, holy hell, how am I going to get there next month? Right? You want it to genuinely come your way. You want it to be something that just naturally happens. And the only way you're going to do that is by putting positive compound interest into your business every single day. And it's not so much like, what more can I do? It's not putting up 8 posts a day. It's not going live 19 times. It is consistent efforts that are intentional. And I know that me and my team talked about this on Monday, but we talked about there's a difference between adding 50 people on Instagram and adding 5 good people that you know that you can connect with and you know that can get some value out of the content that you're putting out, right? It makes no difference if you go add 50 people if they're not people you want to actually be around, right? You have to learn how to operate with your emotions. This is something that I said on that live on the team page, is there's always going to be negative emotions. There's always going to be mindset quirks that you got to work through. There's always going to be bad days. There's going to be days where you don't feel good. There's going to be days where it's super stressful. There's going to be days where life just hits you in the face, and you have to learn how to operate with your emotions. You can't let your emotions keep you out of the game. You can't say, oh, I don't feel good today, so I'm not going to show up for my business, or I'm scared, so I'm not going to go live, or, my neighbor's on the porch, so I'm not going to do a Zoom, or, you can't let your emotions dictate your business, because if you let your emotions dictate your business, you might as well let your emotions dictate your tracker, and you're never going to get anywhere with that. I'm sorry, it's getting dark here, you guys, but you can't afford to let your emotions operate your business for you. Okay. And if you let your tracker define you, you're never going to get anywhere in this business, because you're searching for your worth in your tracker. Right. And so for those of you who are like mid-month and you're like, holy crap, I'm not at my goal yet. Hustle. Let me see how much like catch up I can do. No, it's not about that. It's about being more intentional in your work, so that the time you are spending on your phone, it's purposeful. And you don't feel rushed, and you don't feel frantic, and you don't feel overwhelmed, because you know that even though nobody might be in your inbox today asking you about your products or asking you about your business, you put good intentional work in. You laid that brick as best as the brick could be laid for that day, and you put it down and you go to bed proud. Okay. You have to increase your tolerance. This is the third thing: increase your tolerance for failure and setbacks. There's always going to be conversations where you flop on your words. There's always going to be live videos where nobody shows up. There's always going to be moments where you're like, holy crap, that could have gone so much better. I don't know what happened. I was fumbling on my words or whatever. You learn, you grow, you evolve. Okay. I promise you, if you stick to that process and you don't let that process define you, the fact that you didn't know what to say to that customer, you didn't know what recommendation to give her, you didn't know, what to say on that live video, the fact that you fumbled through that process is going to make you so much stronger. And because of that, you're going to be able to teach somebody else how to do the exact same thing. The last thing I'm going to leave you, and then we're going to hop off here tonight, unless you have anything else that you want to say, Candra. I put, until you give up on the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it's never going to be where you are. I know that one's kind of a little hard to swallow, that one, but it's just like you were saying, like we're all sometimes get caught in this process of, well, when I'm 4K, I'm going to feel so much better. I'm going to feel like a leader. I'm going to have my shit together. I'm sorry for cussing you guys, but I'm going to have it all together. It's all going to make sense. It's going to feel light and peaceful. I will tell you, okay, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I've ranked up twice. I'm one of your 12K leaders. Both times that I've ranked up, it was attached to a rank advancement bonus. What does that tell you about my business? For the longest time, I hustled for that rank advancement bonus. Did I not? Right. And I will tell you, the day after I rank advanced both times, I felt defeated. I didn't feel worthy. I felt like, holy crap, how am I going to do this again? How am I going to fill that tracker up? The only reason why I filled that tracker is because there was the freaking buy two, get two thing, right? The tag team. And I told myself that I rank advanced because of the tag team, or I rank advanced because of this, or it was because of that. And it was that negative mindset, right? Of that I didn't create the results. And I felt defeated, and I felt like I wasn't worthy in those moments because of how I was chasing and how I was running my business. I'm not telling you that I wasn't worthy of those, but in those moments, that's what I felt. And I don't want you to feel that in your business. I don't want you to get to that rank and get on the other side, and the next day you feel like you're completely worthless because you chased that rank badge. You chased a little sticker to go on your Instagram post or your Facebook post in hopes that you were going to get 100 likes and so many comments and everybody was going to clap for you. You have to learn how to clap for yourself. I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit red tonight. I promise you guys I'm yellow, but maybe tonight I'm a little bit orange. But you have to learn how to clap for yourself. And you have to, shots fired, I'm sorry. You have to learn how to clap for yourself. You have to learn how to show up in the dark. You show up in dark seasons. You show up when you can, and you move forward. And whatever emotions you're bringing into this business, they are 100% your responsibility. I love you.
That was incredible. Thank you guys for hopping on with us. We love you all. Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up true to who you are, authentically aligned, and everything that you're working towards will fall into place. So have a great night.
Absolutely. Love you.